The Book of Jubilees stands as a fascinating and enigmatic text, offering a parallel narrative to the familiar stories found within the canonical Bible. It retells the events of Genesis, from creation to the patriarchs, but with notable additions and interpretations. Composed centuries after Genesis, likely in the 2nd century BCE, Jubilees provides a unique lens through which to view these foundational narratives. While not considered canonical by most Christian denominations, its existence sheds light on the diversity of early Jewish thought and interpretation. Jubilees presents itself as a revelation given to Moses by an angel on Mount Sinai. It recounts the history of the world, dividing it into periods of 49 years, or Jubilees. This framework provides a distinct chronological structure to the events, emphasizing God's divine plan for humanity. The text delves into details not found in Genesis, particularly regarding the lives of the patriarchs and the events leading up to the Great Flood. The text's name, Jubilees, reflects its unique chronological framework. It divides history into periods of 49 years, emphasizing God's divine plan. While sharing similarities with Genesis, Jubilees diverges in significant ways, offering alternative interpretations and additional details. The story of Noah's flood, as recounted in the Book of Genesis, stands as one of the most enduring and widely recognized narratives in Western literature. It tells of God's decision to cleanse the earth of wickedness through a catastrophic deluge, sparing only the righteous Noah and his family. The Genesis account emphasizes human sinfulness as the catalyst for God's wrath. Humanity, created in God's image, had strayed far from its intended path, becoming consumed by violence and corruption. The earth, once a paradise, was filled with evil, prompting God to regret his creation. In his sorrow and anger, God chose to send a flood to wipe away the wickedness that had infected his creation. The Genesis account serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting the consequences of sin and disobedience. It also underscores God's power and justice, as well as his mercy in sparing Noah and his family. The flood becomes a symbol of both destruction and renewal, wiping the slate clean so that a new covenant could be established. In contrast to the Genesis account, the Book of Jubilees attributes the flood to a more complex and supernatural set of circumstances. While human sinfulness remains a factor, Jubilees introduces the concept of fallen angels, known as the Watchers, as key instigators of the wickedness that engulfed the earth. These Watchers, celestial beings tasked with observing humanity, disobeyed God's command and descended to earth, lusting after human women. They took wives from among them, fathering a race of giants who brought violence and corruption upon the land. The giants, known as the Nephilim, were said to be monstrous in size and appetite, consuming the labor of humans and terrorizing the population. This angelic transgression, according to Jubilees, was the primary catalyst for the flood. The Watchers' actions not only corrupted humanity, but also disrupted the natural order, introducing a level of chaos and wickedness that God could no longer tolerate. Thus, the flood becomes not just a punishment for human sin, but also a necessary act to cleanse the earth of the taint of angelic rebellion. The Book of Jubilees elaborates on the story of the Watchers, providing a detailed account of their fall from grace and the consequences of their actions. These angels, originally tasked with observing humanity from heaven, were captivated by the beauty of human women and desired to experience earthly pleasures. Led by their leader, Shemi-Haza, they descended to Mount Hermon, making a pact to take wives from among humans and father children. This act of disobedience, a transgression against the divine order, had profound repercussions for both humanity and the angelic realm. The Watchers' offspring, the Nephilim, inherited their father's supernatural abilities and rebellious nature. These giants grew to enormous sizes, possessing immense strength and appetites. They roamed the earth, consuming the food supplies of humans, engaging in violence, and spreading terror wherever they went. The Watchers themselves, in addition to fathering the giants, also taught humans forbidden knowledge, corrupting their ways and leading them astray from God's path. Section 5. The Sins of the Giants, Violence and Corruption. The Book of Jubilees paints a grim picture of the world under the influence of the Nephilim. These giants, the offspring of fallen angels and human women, were not benevolent beings. Instead, they became a source of immense suffering and corruption, pushing humanity further away from God. Their immense size and strength made them formidable predators. They preyed upon humans, consuming their livestock and crops, leaving devastation in their wake. The text describes them as devouring all which the labor of men produced, highlighting the threat they posed to human survival. Beyond their physical dominance, the giants also exerted a corrupting influence on human society. They encouraged violence, warfare, and all manner of wickedness. Their presence fueled human greed, lust for power, and disregard for God's laws. The earth, once a place of harmony and divine order, descended into chaos and depravity. Section 6. God's Judgment, a deluge of divine wrath. With the world spiraling into chaos and wickedness under the influence of the fallen angels and their giant offspring, God decided to intervene. The flood, as depicted in Jubilees, was not merely a punishment for human sin, but a necessary act of cleansing, a cosmic reset to eradicate the corruption that had spread throughout creation. God, witnessing the suffering and depravity, regretted creating humanity. He decided to send a flood to wipe the earth clean, purging it of the giants and the wickedness they had wrought. The flood in this context represents God's justice and his commitment to restoring order to his creation. The flood served as a divine judgment upon both humanity and the rebellious angels. The Watchers, who had transgressed their heavenly mandate, were punished and imprisoned. Their giant offspring, the Nephilim, were destroyed, erasing their corrupting influence from the earth. Section 7. A canonical exclusion, why Jubilees was left behind. Despite its intriguing perspective on biblical events, the Book of Jubilees ultimately faced exclusion from the Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh, and subsequently from most Christian canons. Several factors likely contributed to this decision, reflecting evolving religious beliefs and the process of canon formation. One reason for its exclusion might be its distinctive theological viewpoints. Jubilees presents a more elaborate angelology than Genesis, emphasizing the role of fallen angels and their influence on humanity. This concept, while present in other Jewish texts, was not universally accepted and may have been deemed too controversial for inclusion in the official canon. Additionally, Jubilees' strict legalistic framework, emphasizing adherence to Jewish law and practices, may have alienated some communities. Its rigid interpretation of Sabbath observance and other commandments differed from the more flexible approaches adopted by some Jewish groups. Furthermore, the book's claim to be a direct revelation to Moses, presented as an authoritative reinterpretation of Genesis, may have been met with skepticism. By the time Jubilees emerged, the Torah, comprising the first 5 books of the Bible, held a sacred and authoritative position, making it difficult for a new text to gain similar recognition. Section 8. Rediscovering Jubilees. A text emerges from obscurity. Despite its exclusion from the biblical canon, the Book of Jubilees did not fade entirely into obscurity. While lost in the original Hebrew, fragments were preserved in Greek and Latin translations, hinting at its continued circulation among certain communities. The rediscovery of a complete Ethiopic version in the 15th century brought the text back into scholarly focus. This version, translated from Greek, provided a more comprehensive understanding of Jubilees' content and its significance for early Jewish thought. The rediscovery of Jubilees sparked renewed interest in its interpretation of biblical events and its unique theological perspectives. Scholars began to recognize its value as a window into the diversity of Second Temple Judaism, a period marked by various interpretations of scripture and religious practices. Section 9. Jubilees and Modern Belief Challenging Traditional Views. The Book of Jubilees, with its alternative interpretations and expanded narratives, continues to intrigue and challenge modern readers. While not considered canonical by most Christian denominations, its insights into early Jewish beliefs and its reimagining of familiar biblical stories offer valuable perspectives for understanding the development of religious thought. Jubilees' emphasis on the role of fallen angels in biblical history, its detailed account of the Nephilim, and its strict legalistic framework provide alternative lenses through which to view traditional narratives. It raises questions about the nature of good and evil, the relationship between the divine and human realms, and the interpretation of Scripture. For some, Jubilees offers a richer, more nuanced understanding of biblical events, filling in gaps and providing context not found in the canonical texts. For others, its divergences from accepted scripture may raise questions and challenges, prompting a re-evaluation of long-held beliefs. Regardless of one's religious perspective, the Book of Jubilees stands as a testament to the fluidity of religious thought and the diversity of interpretations that have shaped our understanding of faith and scripture. It serves as a reminder that the Bible, as we know it, represents a carefully curated collection of texts, and that other voices and perspectives have contributed to the rich tapestry of religion.